Honorable Men Discord, Candidly Cam. Let's talk about it. So Cam Newton, on one of his podcasts, because I believe he has two podcasts, and he was on 4th and 1. That's like his secondary podcast. He decided to defend the honor of Joy Taylor by going at Jason Whitlock. Now, first of all, if you don't know who Cam Newton is a former quarterback for the North Carolina Panthers, professional NFL team. And he has since, I want to say he retired. I think it's fair to say he retired. But I believe he's going full throttle with his podcast as well as his clothing line. I believe he's selling real fancy hats, eccentric hats. And you could, anytime you look up a photo of Cam Newton, he's wearing some wild kind of hat. That's his fashion. But that's neither here nor there. He gets on his podcast 4th and 1 and decides to target Jason Whitlock in regards to Joy Taylor. Some may say Stephen A. Smith did the same thing on his podcast. But Stephen A. Smith, I would say he just tried to play neutral since he knows both Joy Taylor and Skip Bayless. I guess he felt the need, Stephen A. Smith felt the need to say something as opposed to just not addressing it, and he has a whole podcast. So he took the role of, listen, I don't want to accuse either one of them of foul play. The time that I've known them, they were decent people. That's the angle Stephen A. Smith went. But let's get back to Cam Newton on his podcast 4th and 1. What happened was Jason Whitlock, who also has his own podcast, Jason Whitlock went on his podcast to discuss the situation, the lawsuit that's going on at FS1. And unlike Cam Newton, Jason Whitlock actually worked for Fox. And Jason Whitlock started to talk about his experience at Fox when Joy Taylor came on the scene. And much like Skip Bayless, Jason Whitlock spoke about the fact that they were trying to place Joy Taylor on the show with him. And now, if you don't know Jason Whitlock, he's a seasoned journalist, broadcaster, well-spoken. He's elite. I would consider him an elite broadcaster. You know, hate him or love him, the guy knows his job. He's much like Stephen A. Smith. Very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very, very eloquent when speaking. Very insightful. So he spoke about the time when Joy Taylor came on the scene and they were trying to place her on the show with him, and he was completely against it. He was against it, one, because he knew she wasn't qualified to be on the show with them, and he only likes to share the mic and the stage, the quote-unquote stage, with someone of his caliber, and two, because of her attractiveness, and he was honest about that. So I do need to correct something. They have Jason Whitlock down as a columnist. He's a well-known, established columnist. I said broadcaster, but that's what they have him down for. So Jason Whitlock on his podcast, again, spoke about the time when Joy Taylor came on the scene. They were trying to place her on his show, and he was completely against it. He said, no, she doesn't have enough experience. Get me someone else. And the end result was she wasn't placed on his show. He wasn't going for it. Unlike what happened with Charles Dixon. Charles Dixon was able to persuade Skip Bayless into placing Joy Taylor on undisputed. Fix this a little bit. All right. So, but Jason Whitlock, he was being honest. And before he said the following words, he said, listen, I'll be honest. He said no because she was inexperienced, plus for his own good. Because as a man, he said she was very attractive, and he went as far as saying she had big cans and peanut butter skin. All right? That's what set certain people into a frenzy. He said this woman, super attractive with big cans and peanut butter skin, and that's his weakness. So Jason Whitlock was speaking on, he was being honest. He said, this is my weakness, and that was the first thing that came to mind when I saw her. He just knew the worlds wouldn't, the two worlds wouldn't be able to coexist, right? Now, within his honesty in speaking on his thoughts back then about Joy Taylor, it rubbed people the wrong way, some people the wrong way, one in particular, Cam Newton. So now Cam Newton takes it upon himself. Well, before we even get into that, if you haven't seen the clip from the Jason Whitlock podcast, take a look at it right now.
Kept my distance from Joy Taylor. And I kept my distance not because I didn't like her, it's just because I knew myself. I know myself. I know what I'm capable of. And that big rack of hers that she showed off constantly, it's just, and that peanut butter skin with that big rack, like, Jay, keep your distance. That's going to get you into trouble. And so that's what I did. I kept my distance.
Okay, so because of that clip, Cam Newton now decides to defend the honor of Joy Taylor as if in some way he's trying to win her favor, win her over. Because I'm not even sure Cam Newton even has a relationship with Joy Taylor. So it makes it a little odd. Unless he's just doing it like many of us with podcasts, he's just doing it for content purposes, which could be the case. Or maybe he's doing it for clickbait. But nevertheless, Cam Newton decided to defend her. And if you haven't seen that, take a look at this.
Okay. Hey, Jason Whitlock. Hey, my guy. No, you're not my guy. Guy, come here. You're not that guy, pal. You're not. That big rack of hers, that's inappropriate. That butter skin, that's inappropriate. Like, bro, you're not that guy. So to comment on something like this, bro, stay in your lane. Whether Joy did what she did, the accusations are true or not, stay in your lane, Jason. All right? Because, bro, like, you're having an outer body experience, and it's time for me to put you back in your body to let you know, bro, you're not that guy, pal. So, Joy, is she a very attractive woman? Absolutely. And it's not for me to make inappropriate statements, Jason, by saying that rack. Like, bro, come on, bro. Like, all right, let's put it like this, since we want to get personal. Like, who you fucking? Who you sleeping with?
What she look like?
Like, bring her to the forefront, him to the forefront, because now you got to be open in these.
Yeah, he's got to be.
You know what I'm saying? And it ain't no shade, but I'm just keeping it a bug. Yeah. This is a person who's, bro, like been a villain in the industry for years. So I'm like, bro, we want to see her, him, whoever. I'm not judging you, bro. I'm just saying, don't say no inappropriate things like that and not be questioned about that. But also too, from the talent standpoint, the Joys, the Mollys, the girls or the females who are attractive, that doesn't mean that they aren't talented or the right person for the job.
So there you have Cam Newton, who's 35 years old, deciding to disrespect Jason Whitlock, who actually worked with the woman and had an experience and a story to share about that time, briefly interacting with that woman. And Jason Whitlock is 57. He's a 57-year-old male, 57-year-old man. And not saying that Cam Newton's not a man himself, but I don't believe Cam Newton needed to go at him that hard. I think he could have found another way to address it, especially given the fact that I don't think Cam Newton has a relationship with Joy Taylor. Now, since then, Jason Whitlock has replied to Cam Newton, and if you haven't seen that, take a look at this.
So, the first thing Cam Newton has to do for me to fully understand this, who's that guy? What are we talking about here? Define that guy for me, Cam. And I say this in all seriousness. I would love to have this conversation with you on what makes someone that guy. And then ask yourself, do I want to be? Does Jason Whitlock want to be that guy? Because, maybe this is just a misunderstanding about what that guy is and whether or not I want to be it. Here's who I want to be, Cam. I want to be a Christian who provides biblical wisdom to young people and older people who reject, deny, don't fully understand, don't comprehend the wisdom that's spelled out in the Bible. That's the guy I'm trying to be.
And here's the thing with Cam Newton's stance in defending Joy Taylor. It really appears as though Cam Newton did not read any of the pages out of the lawsuit, because Cam Newton is trying to make it seem as though Joy Taylor's being harassed, when in fact she's in the lawsuit because she was accused of harassing Noshim Faraji. She was accused of harassing Faraji. Cam Newton is somehow trying to make Joy Taylor the victim. And that is a display of pretty privilege. And I'm going to tell you why. And yes, I'm plugging in my other episode, Pretty Privilege. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. But Cam Newton is sticking his neck out for a woman that he potentially doesn't know, mainly because she's pretty. Would Cam Newton be sticking his neck out to defend this woman, challenging a 57-year-old man because if she was unattractive? Would he have been doing that? I don't think so. I really don't think so. But again, he has a podcast. It wasn't like he was on someone's podcast talking about it. So it's possible that all of this is just clickbait because he's trying to promote his 4th and 1 podcast. And maybe that's the motivation behind all of this. But it's a little silly. Joy Taylor is not the victim. And I think what's really unfortunate about all of this is that all of this is taking attention off of Faraji, who's the true victim in all of this. She's the one who put the lawsuit together. She's the victim. And by personalities and athletes like Cam Newton sticking their neck out in defense of Joy Taylor, he's diminishing what she's trying to do, what Faraji's trying to do. But in all fairness, Joy Taylor is a small fry in that lawsuit. She really is. And if you saw my episode on Pretty Privilege about Joy Taylor, you would know that, again, and I stand by this, I think Joy Taylor could have avoided this whole lawsuit, being mentioned in the lawsuit, had she just been a good friend. So Joy Taylor really didn't need to be in this, because there's plenty of women who are taking advantage of their pretty privilege, and that's nothing new under the sun. But don't know. This is interesting stuff, and I thought it was quite comical, to be honest with you. And I told myself I wasn't going to report on it because when I covered Skip Bayless and then Joy Taylor, I thought that was all I cared to comment on. But this Jason Whitlock and Cam Newton back and forth has been entertaining. It's really been entertaining, and it really put a smile on my face. And so therefore I decided to share with you all. But as always, I appreciate all of you. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll keep pushing out content. Take care.